Good afternoon, everybody out there in viewerland, and welcome to the Tuesday edition, the Taco Tuesday edition of the Rundown. My name is Mike Borski. I will be your host today, guiding us through this program, but I do not do this by myself.
No, as a matter of fact, you do not. My name is Craig DeLuz, and I will be coming at you from the left coast behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And I will be your co-host today on Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh boy, can't wait. Gonna give me some good tacos today. Some good tacos, yeah.
It is the ultimate of basically a meat sandwich. It's really what it is. It's a folded meat sandwich.
Yep. I'm gonna get some nice street tacos. Yeah, definitely for sure.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it, sir. Gotta love it.
Yep. How about you, sir? How was your day yesterday? How's your day been so far today?
Well, Manic Monday. Monday's always manic. I don't know what it is about Mondays, but it's like whatever stuff just didn't get done or people you didn't talk to or deal with over the weekend. It's like all of a sudden people can't function on Saturday and Sunday. So then you have to fix it all on Monday.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. It's very true. I had one of those Mondays where I had a lunch meeting, right? Went and sat down with the person at lunch and started talking foolishness. And we were already, orders were already in, food was already on the way. And I just went, hey, you know what? I don't even want to eat lunch with you, and walked out. It was just like, I control my day. And if I stick around here, it's going to be more nonsense. So I'm out. You take care of lunch. See ya. Bye. And left. So, I feel it's important to be in charge of your own destiny, and take control of the amount of nonsense you got to put up with. So,
well, you have to. I mean, you can only subject yourself to so much nonsense. And sometimes some days you have higher tolerance, Yeah. But I've also come to realize that there's like a new strain of nonsense out there because, I thought I had built up an immunity.
Yeah.
And, and there's a problem. There is absolutely no vaccine for nonsense.
No, not unless it involves like the front of a bus. The only way to end some of that stuff sometimes, it's just got to take care of it the way nature intended it to take care of, the way Darwin intended it to be taken care of. So.
Exactly. I always say this, and in particular about social media. The worst, one of the worst things, for example, about social media is that it's gotten people used to saying stupid and offensive stuff without getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
now it bleeds into real life.
If the internet could punch people in the mouth, it would be a much more respectable place. Yeah.
Yep.
It really would. It really would. Well, Craig, let's start off with some good news, right? Out of Miami. That's Miami, Florida, not Miami, Ohio. By the way, Miami, Ohio. What are you doing with that name? Just change it. But out of Miami, Florida, we've frequently talked about 6-month police chief down there, Art Acevedo, and yes, he does pronounce it Acevedo, not Acevedo. So for those that are gigging on my pronunciation of it, he is a former top level commander from the California Highway Patrol, former chief from Houston Police Department, former from Austin Police Department, both in Texas, and by the way, pretty much fired or lawsuits forcing him out from all of those previous jobs, but was somehow able to get the top cop job down there in Miami. Well, inside of 6 months, he's just turned that city council, the mayor's office, the city manager's office, the police department itself, into turmoil. And it was time for him to go. Why are we getting involved? And I'll tell you why we keep a track on people like Art Acevedo, because he's made the list. Why do we care about the internal workings of a police department? Whether it be a small or large police department. Art Acevedo is adamantly anti-gun and believes that the only ones that should have firearms are the government. That you, as the citizen, should not have firearms. Now, Craig, and the only way I can attribute that to, because he is of Cuban heritage, and that's why they thought he might fit down in Miami. But he moved out of that area at like 4 years old and ended up in California. So he was raised in the California government mentality of all guns are bad. So he has, in every jurisdiction he's been, worked against the Second Amendment and the right of the people to keep and bear arms. So, Art Acevedo, hey, it's Taco Tuesday. Go get you one or two on the way out the door.
Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Mike, and I will say this: you called this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You were like, this guy needs to be fired, and he didn't even really get fired for the reasons that we believe he should be fired. But the fact is that you had a lot of people who are civilians in government who basically wanted to micromanage the department. Now, mind you, they had good reason because he was running the department into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's really what a lot of it came down to with them. And I think too many leaders in law enforcement. I'm not saying average rank and file law enforcement, but a lot of times leaders in law enforcement want to believe, look, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I don't answer to anybody. And that was his case here. He believed that he knew better than the Constitution of the United States when it came to the right to keep and bear arms. He believed he knew better than Florida lawmakers when it came to, once again, an individual's right to keep and bear arms and Florida gun laws. And now he obviously believed that he knew better than those who were on the city council, and he found out he may know better, but he's going to know better from the sidelines. Because by the way, folks, just so you know, he didn't resign; he got fired.
Yes, the city manager came in yesterday and says, "Here's your suspension letter. You get out as of right now, and this is only in effect until your termination comes through." So,
right,
bye bye.
Right, because there is due process, but you do be getting out of here right now.
That's it. And it's Miami, so they probably had something cool to say, like, "Don't let the door hit you where the junkyard dog should have bit you," or something like that. So,
it's funny, as you're probably right. They probably did have something fun to say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
now Miami is, for those that don't know Miami down there, listen, and it's one of those cities that is a giant mess, but it all runs smoothly as a giant mess. And Craig, you just alluded to
organized chaos.
This guy came in as an individual and decided he was going to try and be the king. And Miami is anything but a kingdom. It is if I had to say anything about it, it runs like the Roman Senate.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of playmakers down there, and everybody's got to be involved. And if you come in and try and step on somebody else's toes, well, you'll be leaving Miami probably pretty soon.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it sounds like.
Yeah. Oh well, let's move on to a good friend of ours, retired Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, former congressman from Florida's 22nd district, former Republican chairman for the state of Texas, and current gubernatorial candidate there in Texas as well. Craig, if you recall, we talked about Colonel West last time. His wife had been arrested for DUI, and that had all been taken care of through the proper channels in the justice system. Happy to say that she was not intoxicated. You just had some bad detection methods going on for DUI. So her and the family were doing well until here now 2 months later, the Wests came down with the COVID. Well, Craig, neither one of the family there have the vaccination because they're both healthy. They're both healthy. They don't require the vaccination. The colonel, I'm sure, is much like me, over vaccinated from the military as it is. You can't throw anything at us without it, getting laughed at. So, the both of them had the COVID. They both went to the doctor after they came up positive with the tests. Mrs. West, they said, "Okay, good to go," and sent her home. The colonel, they did say, "We'd like you to spend the night," and for precautionary reasons. And he ended up being okay. They gave them both the doses of the monoclonal, the antibody treatment, and within the way the colonel says it, almost immediately their conditions were good to go, and that's where the Mrs. West was allowed to go home. But the colonel, they did ask to spend the night. Well, the Daily Beast, Craig, you familiar with the Daily Beast?
I am familiar with them. I do catch some of their stuff every once in a while. They get good stories, but mostly it's
It's crap. Yeah, it's the Daily
Yeah.
Least is what I can see. It's the least common denominator newspaper I see there. Story written there by a Kana Ruhalter. Kana Ruhalter. She's a journalism major from Boston University. Just so if anybody wants to check her creds out, she decided it's time to attack Colonel West and his because he's right wing extremist, because he's a Tea Party organizer. She's just evidently, she got a dose of the liberal up there in Boston, and now she's got to take it out on anybody else that's ever been a conservative or Republican. Now, mind you, he's a former elected congressman and a former elected head of a state party. Those are not a couple of Tea Party extremist jobs. Those are both jobs that you get for being a champion of conservative policies, and that's what Colonel West is. But
Right.
she went after him, saying that because he's supporting these unproven drugs, Craig, these horrible unproven drugs, ivermectin and monoclonal antibody treatments.
Right. And it's just honestly, it's funny because you can tell, first of all, the fact that she calls it a rant.
Yes.
If you read it, it's far from a rant. It's simply him documenting exactly what is going on, how he's been treated, and how his body and how his wife's body have responded to these treatments. And he's raised the question: why are we not talking about these treatments? And the only reason we're not, quite frankly, is because, well, Donald Trump talked about them first, or Republicans have talked about them first. They haven't gone through the quote unquote clinical trials. And the thing is that I get the idea that, once again, you want these things to go through clinical trials so you know for sure that it's effective or that it works. But physicians have been prescribing drugs off use for a very, very long time because, once again, they demonstrate an effectiveness. And when you have a day and age where hundreds of thousands of people are dying of a particular thing, and you have something that's demonstrated that it is not only safe, but it has also been effective for many people, why wouldn't you talk about these things? Why wouldn't you promote these things? Why wouldn't you allow people to have access to these things? And that's all he asked. He's like, why are we not talking about this? Why are these treatments not a part of the conversation the same way that the vaccine is? And that was the only question that he raised. And it wasn't in a rant. It was in a very reasoned, anyway.
Yeah.
So you could tell that that's all she really wanted, was to just come down on him as some sort of a right-wing wacko.
Yes, and we know that with their comments now that she is the Daily Beast's arm of the left-wing wackos. So
Yes, pretty much.
All she did was call herself out. So we'll continue to follow Canna there and call her on her nonsense every time she brings it. Craig, speaking of nonsense, let's continue to move our way down here to Florida, to the Funshine State. In Florida, we know that the governor passed the executive order saying no one can use a vaccine passport for any means whatsoever, whether it's a private institution, a public institution, large company, small company. You cannot discriminate based on vaccine status. Now, a couple of them, Craig, have tried to do the old end around too, saying, well, we just want a negative test. You have to show us that. And if you don't have a negative test, then we just need to see your vaccine status instead. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Nobody would ever fall for that trick, right? So right now, it looks like the list that they just published is 112 cities or corporations. And there's some small ones, there's some big ones that have violated the governor's executive orders on the use of vaccine requirements, vaccine cards, vaccine lists. And it's nice because in Florida, under the executive order, each time, let's just say it's the Utopia city. So the city of Utopia says, I'm sorry, you have to see your vaccine card. That's a $5,000 fine. And for every individual or every employee they do that, it's another $5,000 fine. So it's not just one per event. There have been many places for, say, concerts or small shows, Craig, where they've done the, listen, you got to have your vaccine card to come in here. Well, if you've done that 1,000 times, guess what? That money starts to add up fast.
Oh yeah. Well, and not just that, but it's an opportunity because they now have this list for people to now know exactly who these folks are and not to frequent their businesses. It's like I don't
Yes.
even have to worry about. Okay, is this a restaurant that I'm going to have to leave because they're going to demand me show my vaccine passport? I don't even have to worry about that because now I got a list and I know
Yeah.
exactly where not to go. And
Yeah,
you
and I
know,
like this because if you recall, a year and a half ago when there were businesses that were not requiring the masks, and we had all the Karens out there, the Karens and Kens. Oh, well, this place doesn't require masks. Remember, we had people going around doing the reporting people that are businesses that didn't have masks. Well, now it's the flip side.
right.
Now you've got people that are going against the governor's order about the vaccination. So I enjoy that turnabout is a fair play, and that this is exactly what those people are getting now.
Well, and this once again, this whole vaccine thing between the mask and the vaccine thing, it's literally it is a form of fascism, and it's a
Yes.
way in which to control people. It's frustrating because my attitude has always been, look, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to
Yeah.
wear a mask, don't wear a mask.
Right. Right.
If you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated.
Right.
Supposedly, my vaccine works for me. If my vaccine works for me, then it really doesn't make a difference if you're vaccinated. To me, anyway. Except, it may make a difference to you, but it doesn't make a difference to me because supposedly my vaccine is supposed to protect me, right?
Craig, but my vaccine doesn't work unless you take your vaccine.
Oh,
My vitamins today don't work unless you take your vitamins. I could drown, Craig, unless you wear a life preserver in the pool.
right. That is following the science and the logic according to
Yes.
them.
Dr. Fakey. Here we go. But this is nice. This is Florida is actually doing something about it and making people, going to be making them pay,
Literally making them pay.
It's nice to see you get Captain Florida working his butt off and taking care of us down here in the Sunshine State.
Hey, Captain Florida for president.
Yeah. Hey, come on down. You can enjoy his presidency, or you can enjoy his governorship. Come down here and be a resident of Florida. Just if you're coming from one of them liberal states, leave them liberal policies behind. So
Leave them at the border.
exactly right. Let's see. Let's move on. Oh, Craig, this is one of yours. I want to hear you introduce this story because I know how you love Kamala.
Okay, so this one was interesting. So there was a video that was being done for NASA, and it was Kamala Harris talking to a group of 13-year-olds. Now, first of all, let's just say this: she's talking to these 13-year-olds like they are 5-year-olds, and it's like you watch her during the video, and she literally looks like she is high. I don't know what it is, but it was the weirdest thing. But then you turn around and then you find out that these weren't even, I mean, they were real kids, but these weren't like some random kids who were like going on a tour of NASA or part of a NASA program. These were child actors. So in order to make Kamala Harris seem normal and relatable to human beings, they had to hire child actors to sit and be in this video with the vice president. And now they found this out because one of the actors actually reached out to his agent because he really wanted to get this part. I mean, Mike, how weird is this? So first you have the president. You come to find out that he's using fake backgrounds. You guys, I don't know if you guys have heard this. He's using like fake backgrounds, using like a sound stage, pretending like he's at the White House, so he can have these big old huge teleprompters that he can read from. So first he's using a stage like a Truman Show presidency, and now his vice president is hiring actors to not look at her like she's crazy when she talks to them like they're 3-year-olds.
Craig, I don't know if this kind of makes it a little more creepy, I think, between the two of them. We know what President Biden's feelings are towards 13-year-olds. But Vice President Harris, the name of this program was Get Curious with Vice President Harris. It's like, could you be more creepy with your titles? I mean, you Get Curious with Vice President Harris. It's just, what are they doing over there?
It is just the oddest
thing. Is nobody thinking about this?
No, evidently not. So part of the challenge, man, is you're dealing with a White House that is full of a bunch of progressive Marxist leftists who are quote unquote who are intellectual elites, and I say that because they are neither intellectual nor are they elite. But they did go to like Harvard and Yale and Stanford, and they really have absolutely no real connection with real people. Because if they did, then they would know that a real person would see this and think, "What is wrong with you people?"
Yeah, yeah. And this is all of that. This is, it's like they put this out there, Craig. Right? They've all this production value. They get the vice president involved. You get your White House involved. They do this, and then they release it. And then finally somebody realizes that it's getting creepy with kids with Vice President Harris. Or
creepy with kids with Vice President Harris.
And they just scrap it. They're like, get rid of it. Did nobody see this? How did nobody see this?
All you needed was for Biden to like come in out of nowhere in the background and be like,
yeah, that's it. That's it. Pull the corn pop. Corn pop came in for a sniff.
That was all you really needed for this one to go full blown creepy.
Yeah, then the title would have been Corn Pop Gets Curious.
Corn Pop Gets Curious.
Oh, you see the hair on my legs? Oh boy, crazy stuff. It's if it wasn't right here in front of us, Craig, I'd say people were lying about it. But it's going on every day.
It is. We have gone from now, mind you. I will be the first to admit that there was more than a fair share of interesting things that came out of the White House. Yeah. But usually, the interesting things that came out of the White House were all on Twitter. So,
yes.
So you at least knew he was saying them. These things, man, are just so creepy. It's like these are the official communications of the White House. Yeah. That's what's so creepy about this.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're right. Before we'd get, all right, everything's running okay right now. What'd the tweet say?
Okay.
All right, we'll deal with that. But now all we get every day is, no, we're serious about getting curious with the vice president.
Serious about getting curious. Creepy curious. Got to keep creepy in there because that was creepy.
The only thing missing from this is if remember on Seinfeld that Mickey, the small person, the little person, whatever it was, whatever the proper title is now, he was Kramer's friend, right?
Right.
And he used to stand in for kids. He used to stand in for kids, as a not the stunt double, but Craig, you're the actor. What's the right term when they're the stand?
Well, it's called a stand-in. Okay. Basically, a lot of times what happens is rather than have like an actor like be on set while you're doing your blocking, rather than having them wait around for hours as you decide who's going to go where, who's going to be where, so whatnot. Or maybe you have another person talking to that person. They don't really have lines. So you'll bring in a stand-in who's about the same size to be able to kind of be there in their place. So it's a stand-in.
So the only way this could have been worse is, and I remember that episode, and Mickey was on plenty of the shows. Mickey would dress like the kids, right? But then he would turn around and have a beard and a cigar in his mouth at the same time. That would have been this. If getting curious with the vice president and one of the kids turns around and it's Mickey with a beard and a cigar. That's the only way this could have been any better.
You do realize that don't be surprised if you see that on an SNL skit.
Oh yeah, probably so. Probably so. Oh man. All right, let's move back to Captain Florida here. We had a conversation with you yesterday about a Columbus Day. Christopher Columbus, the explorer. Right. So we had a conversation with you about him. And Craig, you and I were having a conversation before we went on the air, talking about, the bravery of this fine sailor. As far as he knew and everybody else knew at that point, Europe was it. That was the world. Everything else was flat. If you got in that boat and went too far, you were going to fall off.
Well, they knew that there was this place that they had referred to as India, right? But you had to go over these mountains, and it was a serious trek across land in order to get to India. He was the one who said, look, if we go the other way on the ocean, I'll bet you that we can get to this land. Now, Mind you, he sailed off in a direction when the rest of the world believed that he was sailing off the edge of the earth, that there were sea monsters out there. And he decided, you know what? I'm going to take a chance because I believe that the earth is round. And guess what? Now, he didn't land where he thought he was going to land. You know, we all know this. But if it hadn't been for him doing that, when, if ever, would we? Well, no, I take that back. Because we already do know that actually further north, the Vikings had already been to the east coast of North America. They just hadn't ventured
now we
their
know
way
that.
down.
Yeah, sure. Now we know that. Yes.
But much of what took place in the discovery of the quote unquote New World, or what is now America or the United States, much of that was more along the lines, the road or the sea traveled or the path traveled. There you go. Of what Christopher Columbus did. So, I mean, if nothing else, just the fact that dude was willing to get in a boat and take a chance like that, it's worth recognition.
Yeah. You know, and you think about all of the explorers, of history that we can recall. There was not a single one of them that, when they arrived somewhere, did not, take a little bit of samples, right? Maybe a little bit of conquering, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But that is the history of the world from day one, right? Is that not how discovery and advancement and everything else happens? How it's gone on in our history. Does it make it right? Not saying it makes it right. I'm saying it is our past. It is our history. And if you try to rewrite it and taking away from people like Christopher Columbus, then you are the problem, not what Christopher Columbus did.
Well, and you have to also consider, I heard someone use this term and they called it presentism. In other words, we're going to judge figures in the past based on moral standards of today. Like, we are now holding, whether it's comedians or NFL coaches, accountable for comments made in some cases decades ago that were wholly, I want to say wholly appropriate, but were consistent with the conversations and the things of the time. But presentism. So because I'm now going to judge what happened before based on the moral standards or my moral standards of today. The fact is what he did at the time was wholly consistent with, like what you said, what explorers did during that time. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that if we want to look back on it now, it's something that made sense, but it's what they did and how they worked. Now, mind you, and I will also be the first to say this, Columbus Day was actually it really was something that was created in order to get the support of Italian Americans. It really wasn't. I mean, I don't know that there was this big push for Columbus Day that he should have been a national figure or anything like that. But I'm also not one who's going to look back on figures in history and say we ought to judge them by today's standards and let's now tear them all down, because we're not even going to look at the good they did. We're just going to look at the bad that we believe they did according to today's standards, and now we're going to rip them apart.
I got two words for you when it comes to this presentism in today's standards. Archie Bunker.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine? And listen, and whether you folks know it or not, that show did incredible assistance in leaps and bounds in race relations, because it put it in the forefront. It put it in your living room back in a day when fire hoses and beatings and dogs were still going on. To have Carol O'Connor and the people there, was it Norman Lear and all of those people put that program together was amazing. But you can't even watch it today. The other one, Craig, that I saw was being edited I was watching some old TV Land. Three's Company. They were editing because remember, Jack used to hide out as a gay man because that's the only way he was allowed to stay with the two girls. Mm-hmm. So that's now unacceptable because of the way that he portrayed the gay man. So
well, and the thing is that those created opportunities to have conversations. Like right. A lot of people are coming down on Dave Chappelle right now. We talked a little bit about that. NPR accusing him of having white privilege. But the fact is that there are conversations being had now about the LGBTQ community, that are being had about, in particular, about the trans community, about the role of of race in conversations because, I saw a meme the other day where he said, I used the N word 5,000 times, and not only did nobody want to have him canceled, they wanted to pay him $50 million for him to continue doing it.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. I mean, these are conversations that people are having now because Dave Chappelle once again went out there and made fun of people. Yep. And I say people because he picked everybody in that special. But yeah, so judging people based on your sense of moral values of what is and presentism is a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, I think that's enough with Governor DeSantis there, from Captain Florida, bringing us, good tidings when it comes to indigenous personnel.
Well, now he's not the only one who brought us good tidings on that day.
That's right. On Columbus Day, we have more than one.
See, now, imagine a world where a basically wealthy white woman is able to claim that she is an indigenous person. That is something I think that history is going to judge. Now, that's not even presentism. That, to me, this is just, I'm like, really? Y'all are gonna let her get away with this?
She's an old white lady. It's okay. Remember, they're only going after old fat white guys. They're not going after old crazy
exactly,
white ladies.
Because in the rules of intersectionism, she just added one more thing to her intersectionality. If it turned out she were a lesbian or a transgendered lesbian, that would actually bump her up on the whole intersectionality scale of oppression.
Yeah, she's so far behind now. She's almost normal. Because there's so much other nonsense out there now.
Well, what's sad is that's almost part of the thing now. It's like if you're not a victim, then you're not normal. There's something wrong with you. If you are a straight white Protestant gun owning male, you clearly you are clearly the problem. You are the one group of people that it is okay to discriminate against.
You're making the victims. You're the one making the victims. Yeah,
and that would be you. And me as a black man, well, I'm the white man of black people. Because I am a black man, straight black man. So therefore, I am the white man of black people.
There you go. Just like
that's kind of how that works.
All right, I want to thank our sponsors today from Grid Defense, Guerrilla Machining. Grid Defense, Guerrilla Machining, been with us here for since almost the first day. And Craig, we also have the California Republican Party, right?
Well, the California Republican Assembly, the largest grassroots organization in the state of California, which, by the way, just found out, we are also the largest chapter of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies.
Nice.
Over 2,000 members throughout the state of California. But guess what? We need you. Folks, this is a battle for the heart of California. And as many conservatives are leaving, many of us have chosen to stay. And if you're going to be here, you can either be part of the solution or be part of the problem. Don't be a part of the problem. Join the California Republican Assembly today. Just follow the link in the description to this video. It's
got to bump those numbers up. Let's get them up there.
It's really that simple. Here's the thing, folks. Here's what I tell people. There are more Republicans in the state of California than any other state in the country. Now, the problem is there's twice as many Democrats.
Yeah. Yep.
But hey, we can fight back. But the only way we can fight back is if we all come together and we all work together. You guys all know that the Republican Party, at least the Republican Party in California itself, is trash. They're not worth supporting because they're not really doing anything. But the California Republican Assembly is. It is the conservative. I always like to say this. We are the Republican wing of the Republican Party.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, there you go.
I like it a lot. Okay, so come on out, become a member. Also, make sure like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about The Rundown. It's the place for your 2A news and conservative views.
Like, share, subscribe. It's time to go get me a Mexican meat sandwich.
Hasta mañana.
Tommy Lasorda.